we also try to inspire you. We talked, for a moment last night about the atmosphere in our country, and particularly in the communities that we serve. And so we see these opportunities coming together as also an opportunity for recharge, for inspiration, for sending you back home with a renewed sense of your mission. And so our speaker this morning is someone who has done that for me personally in my career time and time again. It's really interesting when someone in their actions, right, in not even speaking, right, can do things for communities and inspire. And that's what I found with Mercedes Marquez. Mercedes Marquez has a career of impact unlike really anyone else in this industry. She is by training a civil rights lawyer. This is someone who began with mission, who fought for families, right? And then realized, if I want to have impact, I'm going to have to sort of go up the chain of how things work in this country, right? And so working in the city of LA, eventually running large portions of the city of LA, and then, if you remember, in 2007, what happened in our country? The bottom fell out of our economy. And then President Obama was elected. And there were a select group of people that the president and his team called to say, you are called to serve, right? And Mercedes was one of those people. And she walked into the Department of Housing and Urban Development in the first months of the Obama administration with the bottom falling out of America's housing market, and was told, could you take care of that? And so that's what she did. Where she was thinking already in billions in the city of Los Angeles, she was thinking in the tens of billions on behalf of our communities and our countries at HUD, right? And so this is someone who, through the hard work of not just fighting for our communities, but going into large structures and large systems and working from the inside of those and changing those for our communities, I think has done as much for anybody in our industry, for our communities, right, than anybody that I can think of. And so it is my great honor to share with you Mercedes Marquez.
Wow. Buenos días. Good morning, everybody. One, it's nice to be in community, and it's nice for me to hang out a little bit with folks who do what I do. There's always something very special, right? There's something you don't have to say about the work that it is and the effort that it takes. These last few months, he llorado, he gritado, I've marched, I wanted to be with my own community, right? I wanted to eat pozole and enchiladas, and to feel as close to home as I could. I've also questioned my past effort, I have to tell you honestly. After the election, I cried for 2 days. I've never done that. And I'd say that what gnawed at me, and I may share this with others of us that have been doing this for years, was what didn't I do? What did I not do that could lead to this? I thought about those of you that are 35 and younger. And I thought about, oh my God, what did I not do that this is now such a huge burden on them? And over a bit of time, I want to tell you that I escaped immediately. Within the first 3 days, I went to Mexico. Like immediately, I went to Mexico. And I hung out for a bit and felt better. And then I came back and challenged myself to work smarter, harder, and more. I've thought a bit about the things that have helped me over the years. And I took a path for many years that really nobody knew what I was doing while I was doing it. I kept working. I was the housing director in LA. I was a litigator. I did all kinds of things. But at the same time that I did that, I was training in Zen Buddhism. And I was this lone Chicana with all of these Asian women training for years. And that ended up helping me and when the time came. And there's one thing that sticks with me about the things that I learned there. I think about the 2-year course I did in the Art of War in the Sun Tzu. And I learned there that a warrior has 3 qualities that they bring to their life and to their work. And that is that you have to bring great heart, great courage, and great doubt. All 3 are equally important. To constantly question, right? Yourself and others, everything about what you're doing, that great doubt, to constantly to dig in, to ask. But that the great heart and that the great courage, right, are what ground you as you move forward. Now, those qualities of a warrior are true whether you are Crazy Horse or Red Cloud or Digna Ochoa or Dolores Huerta, right? Warriors. I would say that they're the same 3 qualities that should govern your lives. Because there's nobody who is sitting in this room this morning that is committed to this work that is not a warrior. You should be proud of it. But what is it? What does it look like? Do people know you're a warrior? Right? Does it require you to be loud? Right? Does it require you to be screaming all of the time? Does it require you to be marching all of the time? It doesn't. It doesn't. It's something that you carry with you. It's something that is imperceptible. Now, what's gone on lately, just so that I don't swear at this time in the morning, it's messed up. There's no question but that they have come for us. Right? They have come for us. There is one person in the room that I spend a lot of time talking about this with. And we scream about it, and we commiserate about it, and we plot about it, and that's my friend Luis Granados. We're on the phone all of the time about what we're going to do about it. So they've come for us. They've insulted us. The deportations targeting those who resist, right, are more than about affecting the lives of those people, right? It's more than that. And there's more to come. I knew it was bad. Do you remember that Latino dude with the accent, the Republican guy, during the campaign who talked about if people aren't careful, that our culture was a dominant culture and that there was going to be a taco truck on every corner? Remember that idiot? Right? When I listen to him, I'm like, man, okay, if we're talking about that, is there nothing, right? Who is this menso? Right? I'm listening to that. When that memo came out a month ago or so, maybe 6 weeks ago, from the Attorney General, corrupt, racist, fascist bastard, when he wrote a memo that referred to us as filth, you remember that? On the border, on how border agents should now focus on this differently and charge criminally, not misdemeanors, to cover the filth. I was like, wow. I'm shaking now. I'm so furious. These are the moments when we have to think about how you fight. All of the emotion that I feel, that I know you feel, because they're talking about your abuela. This is when you have to gather yourself, right? This is when you have to dig as deep as you have ever dug in your life. And for those of you that are younger than me, this is when you know you have to train, you have to focus, find people you trust, find mentors, find somewhere where you can let it go, donde se puede descargar, right? You have to find that place. Find the other things you do. In the art of war, the first tenet of the art of war is to take all heaven, right? Take all heaven intact. And that means that as you study a problem, as you work on your strategy, you think bigger than your interest. You think bigger than your anger. You think bigger than your pain. To understand what the larger issue is, and you come with solutions that come beyond your reach. Take all under heaven intact. That requires you to detach from your ego, detach from your pain, so that you can see it larger. Now, the best way I can say that is think about it. The strategies that you form are done from a mountaintop. Take yourself there, in your heart, in your gut, in your mind. Take yourself to the mountaintop and see out. Right? So that you stop having, right, this kind of narrow beam-like, right, that razor-like vision that anger creates. Separate yourself from it so that you see large, and from there work. They say that the general stands on that mountain. I want you to be more like a Zen general. A Zen general sits on the mountain. Calmada. Big. Among the many gifts I've had in my life, when I worked in the Clinton administration, I was sent to the Pine Ridge Reservation to create a program there, a self-help program. And I visited with the Lakota, and I ended up hanging out a lot. I would come back to Washington, and I would be weepy after hanging out with them. And slowly I began to understand what was happening, how they were impacting me, how they were speaking to me. The first time I went with Andrew Cuomo, who was the secretary at the time. And we're sitting in a van with the head of the housing department for the tribe. He was a former president of the tribe. His name is Paul Ironclad. I'm there in a suit, you know, at that point, I'm the Deputy General Counsel for Civil Rights for HUD. And I'm there with the secretary. And I realized that I looked like them. I'd been in the Southwest. I didn't look like the indigenous people there. But I went to the plains, and I looked like them. And they knew it. And at one point, they said to me, they have an accent in English. Mercedes, they said to me, are you Native American? And I said, yes, I am, but maybe not the way you think about it, right? I'm a Chicana. I said, which I think means that I'm mixed blood. He said, okay. I ended up spending a lot of time there. And eventually, after I left the administration, they called me, an elder from the tribe, Gerald One-Feather, called me. And he asked if I would come back to the reservation. And I said, why? He said, I don't know, I had a dream about it. That was all I needed to know. I bought a ticket, and the next week I was on the reservation. Hung out a bit. I took my first sweat, an hour and a half with 6 Lakota women, the most intimidating hour and a half of my life. Cried with them, prayed with them. Later, I was invited to attend a Sundance. An elder woman said to me, I had already started to sit meditation in Zen. And an elder woman said to me, we dance hard because we're dancing for the world. When I was learning to sit meditation, they said to me, sit hard because you're sitting for the world. So when Aunt Penny said that to me, I was like, oh, I could go home now. I got it. I got it for this Sundance. I want to say to you that as you approach this work, you have to temper your anger and your pain with discipline. Calma. Another way to think about it is to keep your eye on the prize. Right? So, and we have to remember, this is not the first time they have come for us. For those of you that are younger, it may be the first time as adults that you feel the full force of it, right? That you feel your responsibility now as adults in your community to do something about it. And that's an awesome thing the first time you feel that it is now your generation's turn. So I don't feel it the same way I felt it when 187 passed in California when I was in my, 35, 40. Right? I feel it differently now. But for those of you that are that age, I imagine you feel it the way I felt it then. But I want you to think about it. Mass deportations in the 40s, Zoot Suit riots, all of those signs all through the Southwest, no dogs or Mexicans allowed. The general state of the colonias on any day. Conditions for farm workers, the fight over the short-handle hoe. And for me, Prop 187, it's not the first time. I remember a day when I was in the Obama administration, when we were working on NSP 3. And I was called to Congress because they wanted to find a way to rescind the $1 billion that was NSP 3. I get there, and a congressman from Southern California goes off the rails, a Tea Party dude, goes off the rails screaming about Chicanos por la Causa at me. I mean screaming at me about why did you give them money? Who are these Chicanos por la Causa? Do you guys remember that day? And I'm sitting there. I mean, the guy wouldn't let me speak. Every time I opened my mouth, he just screamed harder. I will tell you that at that moment, I wasn't thinking. My training from years of work, whether it was litigation or organizing or whatever, kicked in, right? Now, those of people who know me know that when I am very upset, I get calm. And when I do this, I'm not thinking about it, right? But that was the litigator in me that then got very focused on your behind when I heard that. So this guy's yelling at me, and that's what I did. So instead of trying to move off the topic and talk about something else, I just kept talking about Chicanos por la Causa. I just kept talking. The entire time he was yelling at me, I put it on the record and made them only speak about their racism. And what happened? They forgot to ask me if I would voluntarily stop the implementation. They forgot to ask me what it would take to legally stop me. They forgot to ask me. Why? Because I made them more emotional, right? They had to commit to their own racism. and other people on the panel started to freak out because that's what the panel became. We just talked about that. And later, I won a presidential veto threat from the White House to support us as a result of that rant. And we committed $1 billion in 2 weeks. Thank you. But it wasn't me. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, I mean it. It was not me. It was Dolores Huerta talking to me, Mercy, this is what you have to do, Mercy, this is what you have to do, Mercy, this is what you have to do. As I trained with her when I was in law school and followed her everywhere, right? It was watching my grandmother with the bursitis in her arm from picking in the fields, her youth. It was not me. You have to work to the point where you channel all that, where you can carry it without it sinking you. So, for those of you that are working in this field, particularly those of you that are younger than me, who were wondering, why am I doing this? Why am I not just marching in the streets? Why am I not doing something else? I think there's something really important. Is it part of being a member of a revolution is knowing what your role is, what only you can do that others can't. This is why you trained. This is why you went to school. And I can tell you that I've experienced in my life times when activists, other Chicano activists, have tried to separate me from my community because I was now a professional, right? Who've tried to treat me like I'm the man. Pues tu madre, okay? Right? Soy mexicana todos los días. It doesn't matter where I worked, right? Si vienes con corazón, that's who you are. So be careful of that. We have to be kind to one another as we understand that all of our skill sets are required. And I'm going to tell you something. As far as I'm concerned, historic discrimination and the resulting wealth gap that is only growing, again, historic discrimination and the wealth gap, guess what? That is the real wall in this country. That is the real wall. So while that Menso is talking about building whatever, right? Don't be dissuaded, right? Don't be focusing on that nonsense. You're already working on the real issue. This is a capitalist country. And unless you're working at a level that understands how you distribute wealth and that is all about opportunity, right? If you get off what you are already correct, just do it better. Do it smarter. Understand your expertise. Lean into the leadership that you have to take now. I'll tell you that for me, there have been times when I've kind of I've had to do that. And I've had to jump off an abyss. And even in the middle of all this, after I left the administration, when a call came, I agreed to do it, and I called some other people in the room. I called Raimundo, and actually I called Sonia, Noel's wife. And I asked them to join me because I had been asked to be the lead on the transition team for Hillary Clinton for housing policy in the country. And Raimundo and others agreed to come. I tell you that because it was just my turn, right? It was my turn to leave everything, to say, okay, I'll go for 2 months, I'll pay for it all, right? I'll rent an apartment, I'll figure out a way to take my family and the dog, right? To go hang out for 2 months and volunteer for what may be the last time in my own career that I could now take it, right? Take it to it and do it. You have to be ready for that when it comes, right? Train for it. so that when you need it, it's part of your DNA, right? And do other things as well. As I said, take care of yourself. If that's screaming at a march, or it's volunteering in the community, or I sing in a band. So I sing once a month, I'm singing on a Sunday. For years now, to get it out. Do whatever you have to do. But remember that you sit on that hill, calma, and resolve. You are fighting the real wall. Your community needs you to be who you are as leaders. And you reach back, and you let them push you forward, and you pull them with you. ¿Ok? Muchas gracias.